first thing you say to yourself is, how valid then is the preseason top 25 if we can't even get that right? Like, maybe we should just wait and watch everybody. It's a new era now. It's not the old days where a couple teams collect all the good players and you got 7 5-star quarterbacks all waiting their turn. Like that kid that used to go and sit in line somewhere else. Now he's saying, I'm going to go there and start, and they can pay me some good money, and I'll go be the player. It's a new day in college football. Every single week, you don't know which teams are going to show up because the talent has been spread out now, as opposed to just, hey, here's 6 or 7 teams, and they're the only ones who have good players.
I love it. Let's toast, baby. Let's toast to the word response. I got my Outlaw beer, all right? And to me, Saturday was about response. 21-14, and you guys respond.
Calculated response. We had to respond off the bye week. Got up 14-0. You're feeling pretty good. And credit to Michigan State, bro. Like they responded. They came back, made it 14-7. Third quarter, I run the fake punt, doesn't work. Touchdown. We throw a pick, touchdown. Now you're sitting there to just what you said, 21-14. It's like 50-mile-an-hour winds. It's unbelievable. It's crazy atmosphere. And you know what they did? They responded. Just 100 yards in the third quarter, 100 yards in the fourth quarter, 17 points in the fourth quarter, and kind of won the game going away.
Block punt. And the beauty is it's 21-14, and the response came right away. That drive was a great drive, man. That was a counter punch like Bud would do. Like, yeah, you hit me? How about the counter?
No, you're exactly right. What's funny, too, is like we went first down incomplete, second down incomplete, come out 3rd and 10, nothing's going great. They have the perfect defense, and credit to our guys. Luke Lindenmeyer at tight end makes an amazing block. And Ja'Cory Barney, he plays with more energy than anyone I've ever been around in my life. And Ja'Cory, he's supposed to run a 5-step out and up, and the guy undercuts it, and Ja'Cory just does what he does, man. He just turns up the field. Dylan makes a great throw, and Emmett finishes it. It was fun to watch those guys go out there and, man, like you said, respond. You're going to get punched in the face. What are you going to do? You're going to swing back? You're going to lay on the ground? They swung, and they kept swinging, which I was proud of.
Let's talk about them for a second, too, because, man, he runs tough. That's a tough kid.
Yeah, he's 3rd in the Big Ten right now in rushing. He's 17th in the country in all-purpose yards. And here's what I love about him. It's never about him. He cares about his teammates. He cares about the team. He cares about winning. When you have guys like that, guys who can make plays and they're unselfish. Now, trust me, he's confident. I'm not saying he doesn't want. He wants to make plays, but he's unselfish, man. I love coaching guys like that.
So, how bad was the win, man? On television, it looked crazy.
You know what? When we scored that touchdown to make it 21-21, and we kicked the ball off, and it got hung up in the air, and they couldn't catch it. When you can't even catch the kickoff because it's that windy, and I mean this with the greatest respect to them, I'm just saying that's how much the conditions affected the game. And so that's part of being here in the Midwest. That's like when people talk to me about, here football, there football, I'm like, come out here and play one time in October. It's 90 degrees. And got winds gusting 40, 45 miles an hour. Come out here and play, and then tell me about what your place is like.
I love Dylan, right? And Dylan froze, cut the winds. The kid's got stones, man. That's why I love him, man. He's so talented, but he's such a gritty kid. Like he's got. I love the way he plays the position. I love quarterbacks, and I just love the way the kid goes at it.
Yes, so many of those guys are so talented that, like, when things don't go well, they don't know how to respond because they're so used to everything going well. It's one of the reasons why I think quarterbacks who play in this type of weather, like, they're prepared for the next level because, man, you get drafted in Green Bay, you better be able to cut the ball through the wind and deal with the elements. And so, but what I love about Dylan is his grittiness of, like, throws a pick, he comes off the field, he goes right back out there, and he is mad. And you know what? He takes us down and answers a score with a score. So he's not just talented. He also has the right stuff, the right makeup, and he's got the right guys around him. When you have a guy like Ja'Cory Barney, Isaiah Hunter, we throw a screen out there to Isaiah. They take his shoe off, and he runs 60 yards with nothing but a sock. I mean, that's my kind of guy, man. That's gritty. That's tough.
The sock is key, man. That was incredible.
That's exactly right.
All right, let's go around college football a little bit. Interesting development that never happened before. So Penn State and Texas are both out of the top 25. It's the first time in history that 1 and 2 are not in the top 25 during the course of the season. Pretty wild.
Yeah, it is. I think the first thing you say to yourself is, how valid then is the preseason top 25 if we can't even get that right? Like,
Yeah.
Maybe we should just wait and watch everybody. It's a new era now. It's not the old days where a couple teams collect all the good players and you got 7 5-star quarterbacks all waiting their turn. Like that kid that used to go and sit in line somewhere else. Now he's saying, I'm going to go there and start, and they can pay me some good money, and I'll go be the player. So college football has changed. And I think the best thing we can all do is just wait and see how the year plays out. Like, I'll give you an example with us. I told everybody, hey, Cincinnati's a good team. We beat them 20-17. Well, I mean, they just beat a ranked Iowa State team. They're a really good team. So you don't really know what the teams are like until the season gets playing. Now, in defense for Texas and in defense for Penn State, they also both lost to a top 5 team. Texas lost to Ohio State. Penn State lost to Oregon. So, let's not just start, overreacting. Those are two good teams. They'll probably go on runs, and if they finish 10-2, they'll be back in the top 10. They'll have a chance. But it's a new day in college football. Every single week, you don't know which teams are going to show up because the talent has been spread out now, as opposed to just, hey, here's 6 or 7 teams, and they're the only ones who have good players.
It's such a great point. It is. Because I think you're right. I think it's all about the dispersion of talent.
Well, think about like Penn State going to UCLA and losing to UCLA. They had to travel across the country. You got to deal with the time change, all those different things. But just think about UCLA. You got Nico Iamaleava, right? And he's at Tennessee in the spring. He goes to UCLA in the summer. Now he's got to learn the offense. Now he's got to get comfortable. He plays a couple ball games. All of a sudden now, he wasn't on. They weren't prepared for him 6 months ago. All of a sudden now, because of the portal, because of the mobility, he leaves in the summer. It gets there. Things don't go well early for them as a team. They make some changes. But, bro, he's on game 5. He's just getting warmed up. He now knows the offense. He knows the guys around him, and all of a sudden he's comfortable. He plays a great game. And so, because we want to have content, to overdo it ahead of time, none of us know who's going to be a good team and who's not going to be a good team. It's the same in the NFL. How many teams are non-playoff teams one year and they come back the next year and they are a playoff team, and vice versa? The players change. And so college football is becoming more like the NFL now because of the portal, because of free agency. And we all should just sit there and wait it out instead of guessing who we think is going to be good.
You're right. It's impossible to see how it's all going to come together. And just like the NFL, what you see in September doesn't really mean what you're going to see in early November.
At least the NFL, at least you're going off the standings. Here, we're going off of a vote. How many people do you think that vote for the top 25 actually watch more than 4 or 5 games? And I'll tell you this, I can watch a TV copy. I got to actually watch the film to see. You know what? You watch Ole Miss play. Man, they can play. You watch Georgia, they can play. I watch these teams. I watch the All-22. Some of the other teams in the top 25, well, they're good, but they not at the level of those. Watch Oregon play. Watch Ohio State play. And so it's just an emotional voting. And you know what? That's fine. It'll all play itself out. This conversation is fun. It's content for us. But you know what? At the end of the year, we'll all look up. All these teams that are in the top 10, they're going to start playing each other. If I'm a Penn State fan or I'm a Texas fan, I would just bide my time, get better, win the next game, go on a run. That's what we're trying to. Hey, we lost to Michigan. We just said, hey, let's go win the next game. Just stack games. And pretty soon, either you're a 7-win team or a 10-11-win team, and it all takes care of itself.
I mean, you think back to our era, growing up as college football fans, and it was a vote. How insane. It's insane to think about that it was a vote. It never took place on the field.
I was a member of the 1994 Penn State football team that went undefeated, won the Rose Bowl 38-6 over Oregon, then watched as Miami lost to Nebraska, of all places.
Yeah.
And Nebraska got the national championship, and Penn State, we didn't, after going undefeated. And thinking, at least when the BCS came, everyone complained about it. I was like, at least we would have played each other then. And it's just gotten better and better and better. And one of the things that's been out there in the media, I'm not giving away confidential stuff, has been man, you have your conference championship game where one plays 2. Well, what's the point of that? You're going to the playoff anyway. It's been hey, well, the winner of that gets a bye, which can be a big deal. The other guy gets a home game. But what if 3 played 6 and 4 played 5? Can you imagine sitting there one weekend and watching the SEC's 6th best team play their 3rd place team and the 4th and 5th, and then the 2 winners automatically get in, and then the 6th and 3rd place team of the Big Ten playing each other? Like, that would be awesome. An amazing, exactly right. That would be an awesome, amazing weekend of football. And the content that weekend will go through the roof. And I know people are like, well, is that fair? It's really cool when games matter. Right now, everyone's saying like, oh, Penn State season's over. No, it's not. No, it's not. Texas, no, it's not. But if you can get to 6 and try to play 3 and get hot, like that's what we love about the NCAA basketball tournament.
Exactly.
So I'm not talking about automatic qualify. No conferences get mad at me. I just think conferences having play-in games to get in would make the regular season, man. Now all of a sudden you're sitting there saying who gets home field advantage, who gets to bye, who's going to play their way in. All these games matter down the stretch. Right now with the playoff, everyone's like, oh, this team's done. Their season's over. Their kids should all – no. Play the game, finish the season out, and who knows what could happen.
Football, you need to play together, right? Like you especially now with free agency of the portal, you're not the same team at Labor Day that you are at Thanksgiving. Like, you're just not. And any of these losses that happens before, it doesn't mean how good a team becomes. Because in the end, it's about who becomes the best team. That's how I always viewed it.
And sometimes you become a good team by losing a ball game. Like everyone wrote off Alabama. Yeah. Oh, they're Florida State. They're done. Well, look what they're doing. They're just like, man, just hanging in. Beat Georgia. Beat Vandy. Just keep playing. Everyone wrote off Florida. Oh, they lost 2 games. What does Florida do? They come back, they upset Texas. So I'm with you, brother. It's like the teams are going to change as the year goes on. They're going to improve. Some teams aren't going to improve. You're going to have some key injury. Like, let's just play it out. And I would just encourage all the fans, all the coaches, all the players, like just worry about the next game and try to go 1-0 that week, man. Like I'm just thinking about our game Saturday. Do that long enough and good things happen.
All right. One of the themes is kind of what you had just talked about, but I want to get to the NFL piece of it because we saw like an epic kind of bizarre week in the NFL. Starts Thursday night where Mac Jones looked like he was back at Alabama and their injury-ravaged Niners beat the Rams in L.A. And then yesterday, the Broncos beat the Eagles unbeaten. The Eagles are up 17-3. Broncos come back and win. The Titans are down big to Arizona. They come back and win. The Bills at home on Sunday Night Football lose to New England and Drake May. You want to talk about any given Sunday, that's what we just witnessed this week.
First of all, you're exactly right. And it's what makes the NFL and the parity that the NFL designs its league to build parity. Like if you have a great record one year, you have a harder schedule. If you finish here, you draft lower. If you have a bad year, you move. It's designed for parity so that these games all matter. And in the NFL, like you look at the Rams-Niners games, it comes down to 4th and 1. And the decision in overtime, like I thought Coach McVay made the right call. Like, hey, I'm not gonna kick the field goal, tie the game, and give them 3 minutes to go down and score. Like he played to win, and you know what? The Niners made a play. Yeah. You go to the Titans game, Arizona, they score a touchdown, they drop the ball before it goes across the goal line. Yeah. So all of these close games or these upsets that come down to like a play here, a play there, and I tell you what, it's what makes the NFL so great is the parity, is that the games are going to come down to the end. Full disclosure, I saw the game last night, and I saw it right before the half. I'm in here working, I got the game playing, and I'm like, look at New England just kind of hanging around, like right before the half, like just hanging around. That's what a Vrabel type team's going to do. And then you just have to make a couple plays in the fourth quarter when everything's on the way. And that's why, let's go back to college for a second. When we all say like, well, this team's better than this team, because you're supposed to play it out on the field. That's why people love watching NFL football.
You talk about New England, and you're going into Buffalo. Buffalo's Super Bowl favorite. How do you approach it, man? You've been on both sides, games where you were supposed to win and then games where you had no business winning and you did. What's the mentality going in that situation?
I think there's 2 parts to it. I think first of all, when you're an underdog, you have nothing to lose. And you can go in as a coach and say, hey, we're going to run a bunch of trick plays and a bunch of stuff. But like, then even if you take the lead, it's like we're tricking them. One of the biggest wins of my coaching career was when I was at Temple. We beat Penn State. First time in 74 years, 41 tries. And they got up 10-0 on us. Oh, that's right. But they got up 10-0 on us.
I remember.
And we were playing. It's almost like our guys were like, we can play with these guys. It's a little different than college and the pros. Pros are all pros. They get it, right? But in college, it was like the sense of like, wait, we can play with these guys. And then instead of like all of the, well, it's Penn State. They're in the Big Ten. We're in the American. It was like, forget the brand. Just play this man. Like, go whoop that man. And our guys, it just flipped. It almost was like being an underdog gave them so much confidence. On the flip side, the next year, we were 16-point favorites on a top 25 team, and we played Army the first game. And Army had won like 1 or 2 games a year before. And, man, they came out, and they were running that bone at you. And our guys, they were cutting us, and they were playing like their lives depended on it. And our guys, we weren't ready for it. And I didn't have the team ready for it. And so I just think there's something to sometimes when you're not supposed to win and you play somebody and you play early on, you say, wait a minute. Kind of like the Patriots, let's just hang around here for, hey, we can play with these guys. Screw this. And then you go play, and you play free. But the second thing I think is important, and it happens in the NFL, is when you get a big lead, the team that has the big lead, they're playing to protect the lead. The team that does not have a big lead, now the quarterback, like, hey, the pressure's off. You don't have the coach in his headset like, all right, now, hey, if it's not there, check it down. They're like, hey, go play. And I saw Tony Romo one time. I don't know Tony Romo, but I saw him, and I was with some guys, and he was talking about how he loved being down because now the pressure was off, man. He was going to get to throw it 50 times. He was going to scramble around, make plays. He was going to play free. Go to a Little League game. What all the parents do? They yell at their kids. They say, come on, John. Come on, son. Come on. They're unfreeing the kids. Like, I watch my daughters play volleyball. Parents are out there like, do this. Kids are like playing. All of a sudden in between games, the kids go to another court and they're playing volleyball. Playing free. And I just think sometimes when either you're the underdog and you're not supposed to win and you realize you can play, or you get down and you say, screw it, hey, let's just go play. You start to play free, and it just becomes the game we all played when we were kids in the park.
Wow, that's deep, man. That's deep. I love
psychology right there. That's some psychology right there.
I love that, man. That's deep. Let that sink in.
It seems like every day I get a text from someone asking where they can get the best deal in Huskers tickets. That's why I want to give the sponsor of today's video, SeatGeek, a big shout out. With over 35 million downloads, SeatGeek is the #1 rated ticketing app. There are more than 70,000 events listed on SeatGeek, including concerts, sports, festivals, and more. College football and the NFL are in full swing. MLB playoffs are here, and the NBA isn't too far behind. We're going to have Northwestern coming up. We're going to have USC coming up in football. We're going to have Iowa on Black Friday. Make sure you get to SeatGeek and find your seats. SeatGeek is the official ticket marketplace of Nebraska Athletics, and all Nebraska tickets on SeatGeek are authentic and secure. I love using SeatGeek. Just the other day, I got my son and my wife and kids tickets to Eric Church when he comes right here to Lincoln for his birthday. Mumford & Sons is coming to CHI. The one, the only, Ella Langley's coming. There's so much happening in this area, and you can get it all right here on SeatGeek. SeatGeek has your back. Each ticket is rated on a scale of 1 to 10, so you know you're getting a good deal. So look for the green dots. Green means good, red means bad. Plus, every ticket is backed by the buyer guarantee. And of course, we have a code for you guys. Use code RHULE10 for 10% off your next set of tickets at SeatGeek. That's 10% off any tickets with promo code RHULE10. Make sure you click the link in the description to download the app and have the code automatically added to your account so you can use it later. Thank you, SeatGeek. As a national columnist with USA Today from 2012 to just a few months ago, our next guest has covered 6 Olympic Games, 5 Super Bowls, 12 college football championship games, and 16 Final Fours. His beat includes the NBA, the Olympics, horse racing, tennis, and of course, college sports. Welcome to House Rules, Yahoo Sports senior writer, Dan Wolken. That's like tiring just to say all that. That's the first time I've ever had to use it. Full disclosure, everything's transparent here. It's the first time I've ever had to use a teleprompter just to make sure I did justice by everything that you accomplished, man. How are you?
No, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me, Matt. It's great to be on the podcast, and thanks for inviting me. And yeah, man, I just wake up every day feeling real fortunate that I get to do this for a living. It's crazy.
Well, congratulations on the new gig. What's the transition been like going from USA Today to Yahoo? How's that been?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's a little bit like a football coach that changes jobs. You just have to kind of like learn the new people you're dealing with. You're kind of doing the same thing, but you just got to figure out the culture and how you fit in and all that stuff. And I think it's been really good. I mean, I got great colleagues. Ross Dellinger also covers college sports with me. I've known him a long time, so that's an easy fit to kind of work together and kind of figure out who's going where, who's doing what. But Yahoo Sports, great place, great fit for me.
Kind of like you said, I kind of know about changing jobs and moving and going to new places. Sometimes when you do that as a coach, you take some hits. People have a lot to say. Do readers, do fans, do they take out some of your old takes when you make a move like that?
100%. And that's the crazy thing about being in this business now. Everything lives on the internet. You say something, you tweet something, it's going to be there forever. It's funny, like every year on the day that the college football BCS championship game took place in 2013, I sent a tweet in the first half of the Florida State Auburn game. It was a great game. And if you remember in that game, like Auburn went up big early. And I said something about like strength of schedule matters, or it was something like that. And of course, Florida State comes back and wins the game. And Florida State fans, like every year, they bring up that tweet on the day, every day. They celebrate it. They love it. And I get it. And I think it's hilarious. I still defend the tweet at the time because I think that's the reason why Florida State did not start well in that game, is they just had not seen, that kind of SEC speed and athleticism all year long, and then they get to the championship game and like boom, it hits them in the face. Credit to them, they played a great game, all-time great team, all-time great championship game. But that's just like one example of where, yeah, like you just get hit with that all the time. But hey, when you're in the opinion business, you're gonna have opinions people don't like. You're gonna have opinions that are wrong. You gotta be able to be a big boy and take the hits.
One of my favorite movies is Good Will Hunting. And, if you've ever seen it, the scene where like he goes in the bar and he's talking to the young lady and the guy walks up and, at one point the guy with the ponytail says, well, that's all right. You'll be serving my kids fast food on a ski trip. And he says, yeah, well, at least I won't be unoriginal. And that's the one thing I've found is like, if you want to be original, if you want to have a take, if you want to have an opinion, A, people will then follow it, which is cool. But B, they're going to lash out at you. Like there's sometimes I say things and it's just like, I walk back in my office and they're like, oh, you're going viral. Oh, Matt, but I'd rather that than just give coach speak all the time, right? I mean, you have to have a take for people to want to read you, want to listen to you.
Absolutely. And at the end of the day, Matt, like it's sports, right? We're not dealing with nuclear secrets here. It's right. It's fun. It's entertainment. You're in the entertainment business. And I know that it's competitive and it means a lot to everybody involved. But at the end of the day, that's the business you're in. And when you're in the entertainment business, like you just kind of got to deal with that stuff. And I'm fine with it. I am sometimes too provocative for my own good. I'll get out over my skis. Sometimes I'll make people mad. But hey, I can take it.
As journalism has evolved and changed, like even the guys who cover our beat guys who cover us here, it's no longer just writing an article. Then they have to do a podcast about it. Then they have to do some video content. Then they have to tweet. Has it changed at all from you from when you got started?
I think everything's changed. I mean, I'm 45 years old now. So when I'm 21, getting in this business, you typically would start off at like a really small town newspaper on the high school beat, and you'd kind of learn how to do it and make mistakes and work your way up. But now what's happened, because journalism's changed so much, now we've gone to digital. I worked for newspapers for a long time. Now I'm with Yahoo, and we don't have a physical paper. It's all on the internet. The whole career path is different. How you get into sports writing or sports commentating is different. A lot of people, just kind of started doing it as a hobby in some ways, and then for whatever reason, people liked them. They got good. They got better. Their platform built, and now they're big time in the media. That wasn't possible 20-something years ago. So it's good in the sense that you have more of what I would say is democratization of sports media, that anybody who's good at it can do it, and you don't necessarily have to work in the small town. But at the same time, I think there are sort of fundamental things about the job that you're better off having gone through on a smaller level, mistakes you need to make, knowing how to approach topics, how to approach people after losses. that you build up over time and become better when you're fully formed, as opposed to, maybe people who kind of came up in the internet world and don't even interact often with the people they cover. And I think that's a huge difference. My first job out of college, I was covering Colorado College hockey team, Division I school out in Colorado Springs, really high level Division I hockey program. I was on the road with them all the time. I was at every practice. I was talking to the players, to the coaches constantly. And that does sort of give you a different perspective because, again, like people now could just kind of take shots and they never have to interact with the people that they talk about. And I think that's a real unfortunate side of this business because I like that back and forth, that personal interaction, and I think it helps me tell stories better.
Who are the people you feel like, hey, I need to read this person. I need to hear their take as it relates to sports, journalism?
Certainly on the college beat, there's a lot of great people, and Pat Forty, Nicole Auerbach are good friends of mine. Pete Thamel is obviously incredible in terms of the news, and those are people I've known for many, many years. I've worked with a lot of them. People at USA Today that I worked with. Paul Meyerberg is a good friend of mine. I think he's one of the smartest college football people out there. But I'm also just a sports fan. I read everything. I read NBA. I read golf. I think like Alan Shipnuck, who covers golf, is one of the best in the world, just in terms of covering golf from a really unique angle and getting the real inside story on what's going on tour. So people like that, I am absolutely blessed to not only be colleagues with them, but to see them often at events I go cover and to be friends with them and to go have a beer and just talk and learn. And, I think that's the great part about our business is, I think kind of like coaches where, you guys compete against each other, but at the end of the day, you're collegial and you want to learn from each other and you want to be friends on a certain level. I think it's the same thing in our business.
Like, what's your day look like? How do you keep up with it all?
Typically for me, I get up early in the morning, try to get my workout in early, get the blood moving a little bit, try to get back to my computer like 9:30, go through the headlines, read about what's going on in the day. Typically, especially now during college football season, I've got kind of an idea every week about what I'm going to be doing and the stories I need to tackle. So during the season, it's a little bit more, I think, organized in that way. And honestly, it just doesn't feel like there's ever enough time to cover everything that you need to cover. And then obviously you get closer to Saturday. Sometimes I'm at games. Sometimes like this past weekend, watching from home. Watch your game last weekend alongside, I think 3 others on my big screen. And so that's kind of cool too, because you do get a better sense of what's going on around the whole country on a Saturday, as opposed to just being in a press box at one venue where it's a little harder to keep up. So I like a mix. But yeah, you have to read a lot. You have to read, newspapers, internet sites, everything. And sometimes watching TV too, see what ESPN's talking about on First Take. And, that can contribute. But that's the cool thing about this job is every day is going to be different. What's
the best live sporting event you've ever attended and been a part of?
All right. Well, I'll give you a couple different answers. One, and the one that probably I tell people when they say, what's your most memorable day of your career? It was probably 2015 covering the Belmont Stakes. It was the first time we had a horse racing Triple Crown winner in 37 years. What was cool about that for me is I grew up around the racetrack. I grew up Oaklawn Park in Hot Springs, Arkansas. My parents were in that business. I was literally, growing up at the track with them. And, I just remember talking to my dad, my grandfather, we'd always talk about horses and who was going to win the Derby and stuff like that. And there had never been a Triple Crown winner in my lifetime. So to be able to be there that day and, I'm standing next to Joe Torre and the Burger King mascot, who I guess Burger King had paid Bob Baffert, the trainer, to put him in his box to watch the race for promotional stuff. And so I'm standing in between them, watching the race, and the horse wins. And then there's just this roar for 15 minutes. And it's just so loud and vivid in my mind still as he comes back around to the winner's circle. Just people were so happy, so pumped up to be there to see history. So that's the kind of stuff you live for. And then to be able to just write about it as a professional, as well as being just a fan of the sport my whole life, that was unbelievable. But I would also say the Olympics. Every time I do an Olympics, It's so unique. It's so exhilarating. I'm just filled with adrenaline for 2 weeks. And you have to be, because you hardly ever get any sleep, because you're going just from one event to the other to the other. This last year in Paris, I thought one of the coolest days of my career, bar none. I covered the men's tennis gold medal match. Djokovic, greatest player of all time, finally wins the gold medal. It's the last thing he hadn't won. Incredible match, incredible feat. And I cover the match. They do the press conference. I write the column really quick, jump in a cab, go across town to the big stadium where they were going to do the 100 meters, and saw Noah Lyles win the 100, which, if you remember that race, it was like a photo finish. Like, there were, you couldn't even tell who won. And so to be able to do those two things back to back the same day, write 2 stories about those things, I mean, that's as good as it gets.
I love that. I had going back to what you said about horse racing, I had been to the Preakness, and then this year we went to the Derby. But I went to Oaklawn to speak at the Broyles Award.
Okay.
They did the college dinner, and then the next day was the high school dinner, and I was the speaker. So I went down, and I'm not much of a horse racing expert. So I called Marty Herney, who was the GM in Carolina when I was there, who now, he's excellent horse racing guy. Got all his picks, and I didn't win a race the entire day. So I'm not sure if Marty, if he was mad at me about something or what, but I thought the people there were awesome, and I thought, what a beautiful place, just how kind and inviting everyone was. I didn't realize you were from there, but really a nice foray. I got to go down and be in Winner's Circle afterwards. It was really a cool experience.
So my parents and my grandfather and my great-grandfather actually started the business. They ran the food and beverage concessions at Oaklawn.
Oh, wow.
And then they got out of that. They sold the business. And now my parents are retired, but that's why I was there every single day. I would go into the office. I worked in the restaurants. I sold concessions on the concession stands, but that's where I was. Like, I was at the track all the time. How did you like the Derby? What did you think of that experience?
I thought it was amazing. We went with Troy Dannon and his wife Amy, our athletic director. My wife and I went, and we had been with the Preakness years ago when I was at Temple. We run Under Armour school, and they would always have a party at the Preakness, and you'd kind of be there, and you'd be at some party, and there's Mike Tyson and there's Tom Brady, and you'd be at the finish. Well, this year we were kind of over by the paddock, and so I got to walk out several times, and I would just strike up a conversation with some random people. And they would be in the preliminary races. They'd be like, oh, we own this horse, or we own that horse. And just, I think it's always really cool when you get kind of behind the veil and you get behind the scenes. And these people, their life kind of hangs in the balance in the next few minutes, and watching the disappointment, watching the excitement. But I love the whole experience. I think it would be something that if I ever had a chance to go again, I 100% would do.
Yeah, it's a lot to take in, and it's a grueling day because it's just such a long day, and you're fighting just for space. It's 100,000 people there, but you're totally right, and that's one of the reasons I love covering the Derby. Is every morning leading up to the race, you go out on the backstretch where the horses are training, and you watch them gallop around, and then you go back to the barns, and then the owners are there, their friends are there, and you just talk to them, and you get interesting stories and their perspective. And, a guy like Mike Rapoli, for instance, the guy founded Vitamin Water, and he's worth billions and billions of dollars. He's so invested in horse racing. He wants to win the Kentucky Derby so bad, and it just hasn't happened for him. And it's you get one shot a year, 2 minutes, and everything has to go right. And, even for people who have all the money in the world, just to see how they react in that moment and what that week is like for them, it's pretty incredible, I think, and I love it. I absolutely love it.
I think that brings up a great point, though. People love sports. I mean, you can have, as you said, you can have all the money, you can have all the acclaim, but there's just something about the competition. I'd ask you, in a world, with Marvel movies and true crime documentaries and all the stuff that you can do on it, what is it about sports that makes people love it so much?
It's the ultimate reality show, and I think it brings out all of the best and worst qualities in people, because when you get in the pressure, when you get in the moment, whatever is inside you is going to come out, right? And you see how people respond. It doesn't necessarily mean they're always going to play well or they're always going to do it right, but that's part of the journey too, is, from one year to the next, you see the growth, you see all right, this was devastating last year. All right, how do you bounce back? How do you respond? Even though not all of us are able to athletically compete in sports in that way, I think we all sort of understand what it's like to invest everything you have in something and try. And then you see if it goes your way, you see if you can triumph and overcome. This goes back 10,000 years of human history, where people were competing in, chariot racing and, whatever. Like, this is just one of the most basic fundamental things that human beings have had since recorded history.
I think that's what's cool about the Olympics, to your point. That's what's cool about really all of sports. You see people overcoming it, but the one thing we haven't done great in college football, in my mind, is we just say, like, well, this is a better team than that team. We assign, as opposed to like the NFL where you play it out. You play it out because maybe you're a better team, but there's something about competition like, hey, I'm going to beat you today, or you're going to beat me today. And that's why we always root for the underdog. I always love like the excellent ones, the people who are just building dynasties, because they have to go out and do it over and over and over again. Like, it's not just handed to them like, oh, well, you're the best team. You have to actually go out and compete and earn it. And I'm sitting here today like, I could feel completely different if one or two plays go differently, but that's what makes you feel like it's worth it. And that's what makes you feel like sport, it makes you feel alive. I don't know if that makes sense, but it's how I feel.
It does. And I think it's a little harder in college football because you just have so few games and so few opportunities. If you were playing a sport like tennis or golf, every sort of match or every tournament is like its own thing. And then you repeat it again and it becomes like a series, right? It becomes like a TV series and it goes back and forth and up and down. But like in college football, you lose to Michigan. Well, you're not going to have a chance to rectify that, that specific thing. Like for you guys, like when I saw the way you played, it's clear that you guys still have some areas you need to take this thing and improve the program. But, I think you guys are on the right track. And I think just me from the outside watching your team play, as I always say, tradition rises in college sports eventually. And I think the trajectory you guys are on, you can see because of how much people care and because of what you guys are putting into it, you're inching closer.
Yeah. I always believe in everything. Two things can be true. Like, you can be really disappointed that you lost a game and also really proud of the ascension and the direction that you're heading. And then it can be the other way. You can win a game and say, hey, I'm really happy we won, but man, I'm concerned, so there's no doubt that we're headed, where you're supposed to be. So what story in sports right now isn't being covered enough?
Wow. That's a really, really good question. Well, I will be a little bit biased here just because, some people know I'm a tennis guy. Where that sport is right now and sort of the way it's being played and where it's going, it almost blows my mind. If you compare the way that game is being played today to the 1970s or 1980s, just in terms of the athleticism, how athletically superior you now have to be to excel in that sport, I think it's absolutely incredible, and I don't think it probably gets enough credit among the general sports fan who maybe thinks it's like kind of a country club, a feat sport, something like that. No, go to a tournament, go to a match, watch the top 10 players in the world play. You will come away understanding these are absolutely, bar none, some of the best and most, not just fittest, but just some of the toughest athletes in the world right now.
I went to Indian Wells this year. My son and I went out, and I had an event I got to do, fundraising event, and went out and watched. I'm not a tennis aficionado. I think it was Alcaraz when he lost,
Yep.
And also I'd say where the sport is in terms of the technology, the replays. I'm sitting there like, man, we're still using a chain gang in football, and the ball hits out of bounds, and an automated voice says in, out. But you are right. It's one of those sports. I feel much like hockey. Until you're there, until you're at a hockey rink and you're up close and you see an NHL team skating and cutting and how much athleticism is required, till I was there and had good seats and saw them racing from side to side and just the look on their face afterwards and in between, I don't know if I ever appreciated it enough. And it's something I plan on going back to next year because the whole thing was like a great party. It was an amazing event and elite athleticism. So I definitely see exactly what you're saying.
Yeah, and you bring up a good point about technology. I mean, that's something in sports right now. I think specialization, I think affordability, accessibility, and then, technological advancements in all of these sports in terms of training and the amount of data that you get in terms of feedback. All of those things are stories that maybe I take for granted a little bit because I'm in it. Maybe you take for granted because it's, your players are using all that stuff, that the common fan may not totally understand or appreciate, just how advanced some of this stuff really is right now.
No doubt. Well, I want to make sure I take a moment to thank you. I think sometimes I think people think coaches sometimes their relationship with people in the media. How is it? I mean, I would say that my relationship with people in the media has always been really appreciative, because at the end of the day, we don't get to do what we do if people don't cover it, if people don't watch it, if people don't care about it. And I just have so much respect for the way in which you do things, because I can't imagine how hard it is, as you said earlier. You have to criticize people. You have to say, why'd he say this? Why'd he do that? But I think you're one of the guys who as I've always been around you, always does it with such class and dignity, and I respect that a great deal. I think the whole world, just all of us, if we could all learn just to talk to each other and listen to each other just a little bit better, disagree, have our opinions, but just do it in a way that's respectful, we'd be a better world.
Hey, listen, Matt, I've had plenty of times in my career where people have called me and yelled at me, and sometimes I deserved it, sometimes I didn't. But you guys, your livelihoods are on the line. You're putting it all out there. You're doing it in public. It's not easy on you. It's not easy on your families. I try to always be understanding of that, but also, I got a job to do too. And sometimes that includes holding people accountable, and just as long as you do it in a fair and accurate way, I do think that coaches and the media can definitely have that respectful and constructive relationship where we're both getting out of it what we need and what I think actually helps the sport.
100% agree. Well, hopefully you have some really good things to say about us the rest of the year. Just like you this Saturday, if you see me this Saturday, I'll have 4 games going on at once. I'll be doing just what you're doing, and that's watching this game we love. So thank you very much, Dan, for being on. Appreciate you, brother.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Matt.
You may not know the name, but you've definitely seen their work. Empire Netting and Fence. They're the ones who built those famous tunnel walk gates at Memorial Stadium. They're also behind the netting at ball fields across the nation, even in my own backyard at the Waverly High School fields and Haymarket Park, home of the Huskers and Salt Dogs. And here's the cool part. They're not slowing down. Empire's campus out in Waverly is one of the fastest growing in Nebraska, and now they've added something brand new, hot coat powder coating. It's a state-of-the-art facility, one of only a few like it in the entire country, and it's right here in Nebraska. Empire's not just building fences or gates or netting. They're building a culture rooted in grit, integrity, and pride, and they're looking for good people to join their team. So next time that tunnel walk music hits and those gates swing open, think of Empire, a Nebraska company doing big things. Check them out.
Let's go. Anything but football. And this is where we love our audience to come in and ask Coach a question. Listen, he's a Renaissance man. If you can see by his shirt, by the way, that shirt rules, dude.
Seek discomfort. Live your life like that, man. Seek. It's okay to be a little different. It's like, I love the fact you're drinking Outlaw Light in the coolest mug I've ever seen in my life. Like, is that a chai latte or is that a cold beer? You're just not afraid to just seek discomfort. That's amazing.
It's an elephant stein from Africa.
Is it really?
It's definitely an elephant stein. I don't know where it's from. I just found it. I was like, I love this stein.
That's what I'm talking about.
So I'm going to drink my Outlaw with it in that stein. It works out perfect. All right. This comes from Frank Pietrantoni. All right. Coach, what was the most challenging obstacle that you had to overcome and or your team from as a young person that you later realized helped you shape into who you are today? So your biggest obstacle from childhood, what was it?
I was born in State College, Pennsylvania, where Penn State is. We moved out to Kansas City because my dad went to seminary there to be a pastor. I lived there for 4 years. Moved to New York City. We lived a couple different places in New York City. Eventually settled in Roosevelt Island, which is in between Queens and Manhattan. Was a city kid. Then, as a junior in high school, moved to Pennsylvania, State College High, back to State College. Went from taking the subway to school to walking to school. And the negative of that is like sometimes you feel like you never quite fit in somewhere, right? Like it's like my son Bryant, because of my coaching career, he's moved everywhere. I think he's gone like 14 different schools. So the negative is like, man, like you say to me, like, where's your home? It's like, well, I lived here, I lived here, I lived here. So I'd say that maybe that could have been an obstacle, a challenge, because you always had to start over. I always had to meet new people. Like I was a junior in high school and I'm going to a new football team, and it's like, the new baseball team. I didn't really, like they don't know who you are. So I'd say that was a challenge. The positive of that was, I've lived in the city, I've lived in the country, I've lived all over. And in coaching, I've lived in Texas, I've lived in LA, I've lived in Charlotte, I've lived here in Lincoln, Nebraska, I've lived in Philly. And I learned as a kid to be comfortable everywhere I am and not worry about the geography, not worry about the conditions, but instead learn how to connect with people and make great relationships with people. And so even a place like Charlotte, which, being the head coach of the Panthers didn't work out very good for me. And there was a lot of hard things, and COVID happened, and then, the hot seat. We met some of the best people I know during my time there. And my kids went to amazing schools. My son's life was changed by a school called the Fletcher School. My girls went to Charlotte Latin, had a great. So I just learned that instead of letting the circumstances dictate, your reaction, like the circumstances are the circumstances, but you can choose to have a positive attitude. And one of the best ways to have a positive attitude, in my mind, is to connect with other people and embrace their differences and have talk. So as a result, I'm sitting here at the University of Nebraska. I've got guys from California. I've got guys from Philly. I've got guys from Florida. I got guys from Texas, and I got guys from the Midwest. And instead of a world where we always talking about all of our differences, and find the commonalities, find the things that we're all going through. Like in 2 weeks, we're going to go play at Minnesota, and it'll be our breast cancer game. And, my wife, Julie, lost her mom, Donna, to a battle with breast cancer. My mom, Gloria, is a breast cancer survivor, but both of us have had our lives affected by that. And because one of the things that I've always said is like, sit in a room full of people, Republicans, Democrats, African-American, Caucasian, Latino, find all these differences, young, old, and then say, hey, who here has had someone they love affected by cancer? Who's had the mom, grandma, aunt, someone affected by breast cancer? And all of a sudden, we all put our hands up. And it's like, so what you're telling me is the worst day of your life is similar to the worst day of my life. The worst day of my life was when my mom called me and said, hey, I've got cancer. The worst day of Julie's life is when her mom lost her battle to cancer. And so the things that we think separate us, they're so minuscule compared to the things that connect us. And so I learned that at a young age, moving all around the country, living in the city, living here, living there. Hey, people are people. And you know what? I'm going to live my life connecting with people. And so you come here to Nebraska, man, we fit in right away. Why? Because there's amazing people here in Nebraska, just like there are in Cape May, New Jersey, just like because, there are in Philly and everywhere else we've lived.
It's such an important lesson because you get that when you travel abroad. I love going involved in people's cultures because when you see the different cultures, you realize the commonality and you go, oh my God, you guys are about family. Well, yeah,
That's right.
We're about family, right? Oh, we're about, and then you start to see the customs and you start to apply them to your own. And all of a sudden, like you love the difference, like the food and everything else. But then you start to realize like, oh man, we're really a lot alike. And you realize how much we all have in common, which is the most beautiful thing and the greatest connector there is.
And so I think one of the things that for our kids, and for all the parents out there for their kids, is one of the coolest things about our kids' generation is that they can connect with all these people they care about all the time on their phone.
Yeah.
The scary thing is though that they can be in Italy, they can be in Switzerland and just be spending all their time talking to their friends back here. And I'm always wanting my players. I'm always like, hey, show up to different events, meet new people, walk around the room, shake people's hands. You never know who you're going to meet, who you're going to connect with. I was in Italy 2 years ago and I rented like a Vespa by myself. I was with a bunch of people and I was like, I'm just going to go ride this. And I went and I started riding this thing. And I had to make a phone call for work. And so I found a place. I pulled up to the top of this village. And I pulled into the village to make this call for work. And all of a sudden I saw a bunch of old guys sitting outside drinking coffee, sitting on a table. And I'm like, I'm going to make this call later. These guys have life figured. Now I couldn't speak. They spoke only Italian. I was out in the middle. But go have a conversation.
Yes.
Go meet some new
Yes.
people. Like some of the best people I know, I just met in a random way and we connected. And so the phone is great. Stay connected to everyone you love. But also to your point, go meet somebody new and find the things that connect us, not the things that separate us.
So let's take a look this week. You're doing something different from Maryland. You're flying out Thursday, so you're a day earlier. What's the backstory there?
Something we don't love doing, but we think it makes sense for this week, and we're going to do it just once this year because, you leave here, you go, you get on the plane, it takes an hour or so to get to the plane, take off. It's 2.5 hours there. You taxi at BWI, which, can always, who knows what that'll be like, and then it's about an hour to the airport. So we figured, wait, we're not going to get there till like 9 or 10 o'clock at night. And we thought maybe it'd be like an 11 o'clock, 3 o'clock game, which is 3 o'clock. So we said, hey, let's go out Thursday night. Let's practice Thursday morning, give the guys a couple hours. Let's go out Thursday. We'll get in late. The NFL game will be on, some college games. Guys can go to their rooms, get a snack. Wake up Friday. Let's just hang out, man. We went and played at Kansas City, and that was a road game, but it felt like a home game. But getting on a plane, going to the East Coast, going to another time zone, it's kind of cool, man. It's like, you kind of all sequester in the hotel together. It's like, just the team. It's a little different. I love it. And so, we'll go to a local high school. We'll walk through on Friday. We'll have some meetings. We'll go see our movie that we always go and see. But I just think it gives us a chance to spend a little time together, eliminate the distraction of, hey, what happens if we get stuck in traffic? So we just said, hey, let's not mess with it. Let's go Thursday. And I get two nights from the Marriott. I'll be fired up.
Are you gonna get crabs for the team? Are they gonna have some Maryland crabs?
Kristen Coggin is our team performance nutritionist. She's amazing. And I said, listen, I don't if it's good or not to have crabs and crab cakes and all that for the team. You decide that, but make sure they're in my room, okay? I just need a real crab, not the crab cake we have all over the world. Like the round little crab cake with you go to Maryland. And the crab cake is it's just all over the plate. It doesn't have flour everywhere.
It's crab meat's delicious.
I can't wait.
How dangerous are them? They had a lead, and Washington came back on them and shocked them. How dangerous is it to face a team off a loss like that?
Yeah, well, it's just like us coming off the Michigan game. We were angry. I think the biggest thing is that, first of all, Mike Loxley is an amazing coach. He's dominated that area in recruiting for a long time. They've got a great quarterback, freshman quarterback, 5-star. He's going to be awesome. You can always see what he's doing. Dynamic receivers. They're one of the best passing offenses in the country. And they're probably one of the best defenses in the country. They went to Wisconsin and beat Wisconsin. That's hard to do. They're playing jump around. They're playing all that up there in Madison. That's a hard place to go win. And it was 27-3 with a minute left. They dominated the game. So this is a really, really, really good football team. Our team has to manage the distractions of traveling and then get there and just make it football and play one snap at a time, not worry about what's happening. Just keep playing the next play. You do that, you always give yourself a chance to win. But yeah, they're an excellent team. This will be a lot of fun. This will be a really good, really good game. And you know me, I'm so excited to get back on the East Coast. I can almost smell it right now. It's I'll get to come kind of home with all my friends from Philly, and different people will be making their way down. I do think there's a pretty good chance, knowing Julie, that she'll probably go ahead of time to Cape May and get a little Jersey time and drive over. So it'll be fun.
It's going to be nice this week, so she could get a beach day in.
She'll find a way. Trust me.
All right, I'm going to send the cannolis down for you. All right, this way we'll be all set up.
Please.
Love it. House rules, baby.
You're the best, bro. Well, that's it. Another episode in the can. Please remember to like, share, or subscribe on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. And please follow @House Rules on socials. Until next time.